world, we're thrilled to have you here. Welcome from ROMchip. You are at the second ever ROMchip Twitch charity fundraiser. And we're psyched to have you here for 12 nonstop hours of back-to-back streams to raise money for the only game history journal in the world, ROMchip, a journal of game histories. We tell you what's on the can. I'm Laine Nooney. I'm a historian of computing and video game history at New York University, which is where I'm streaming from today. I'm also one of the co-founders of ROMchip and its managing editor. I shepherd that journal alongside my talented collaborators, Henry Lowood, Dave Parisi, Soraya Murray, and Logan Brown. I'm gonna actually try to taste this. Wow, okay, actually that's not as bad as I thought it might be. All right, so today's entire event is to fundraise for ROMchip, a journal of game histories, which you can find at romchip.org. And in case you're new to our mission, we describe ROMchip as an open access hybrid audience online venue for the publication of game history. So this means, what's this mean? So first, our mission is that we develop, solicit, edit, and publish work across a range of formats. We do traditional peer-reviewed articles, interviews and oral histories. We do little object lessons and long reads, and we do a lot of translations on everything from video games, board games, analog games, sports, and play. Then as an open access journal, we have no paywall, no advertising, no logins, no predatory publishing model. You don't have to pay anything to read the scholarship published in ROMchip. Our authors keep their copyrights. We are trying to model a different kind of future for research publishing. And lastly, we call ourselves hybrid audience, which means we're trying to create a big tent around game history. Lots of people care about this mission. We believe that you shouldn't need a PhD to be able to read or write for or interview for ROMchip. Which explains why we are a scholarly journal doing a Twitch stream, right? That is pretty unheard of. We know how many people care about games and people who make games and play games care about game history. We want to find folks where they are, talk to you about the mission of this journal, show you a good time, and hopefully together make a better future for game history. Okay, so I could sit here all day long sipping on this bowl's drink. We asked Balls if they would, I kind of on a lark, I was just trolling to see if they would send us anything. I told them about this project and they did, so I was shocked. So I think I am now legally obligated to drink this on stream. But, I could sit here all day, talk about the history of the journal, whatever, what we're gonna do with this money, but I think it's a little more fun if we do this in a conversation. And I have a very special guest, our warm-up act, our master of ceremonies, will be joining us now. Jason Scott, where is he? Can we get him into the room?
Am I here?
Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Scott.
Do we have the sound? Do we have the video? Do we have everything? Do I look like I'm supposed to look? Team?
We've got everything, Jason.
Okay, good.
So for those of you who have not yet met this man, he is a software curator at the Internet Archive. He is a former celebrity cat dad, a former sysadmin, an expert troller, and shitposter. And he is perhaps most importantly, the man I refer to as my internet dad, the only person I allow to have a paternalistic relationship with me. Jason, how's it going from where you're tuning in from?
Chosen families are the best families. It's actually going very well. I live in New York, and New York is chilly right now. But as we can see, I am warmed by the light of Govee and other lights in the background. And I am in the standard streamer office, which is probably terrible for my eyes, but visually interesting for Twitch. And I'm so happy once again to be here and to be part of this wonderful event. And I am especially happy that we are doing so as a goal to go beyond what we had last year, and that last year was so successful. So I can't wait to see what kind of people we have going on, what kind of games we play, what kind of stuff we talk about. I hope that the people out there put us on as an ambient stream just to hear joy, academic joy in this modern time of people just enjoying games on their own terms and having a good time. And as you said, I work for the Internet Archive, archive.org, which is also in the news these days. But my position there, free range archivist, mostly involves doing whatever I want all the time and talking to people all the time about weird stuff. So the things I save perhaps will not cause the world's axis to shift. It's not going to cause, us to live young again and cure all disease, but it is going to make our time on Earth a lot of fun. And part of what I do is software curation, and therefore games, and therefore game preservation, and therefore talking to people about games. So, making things happen. And I'm happy to be here and be part of the ROMchip train, really.
Yeah, for those of you who
Conductor Laine and others.
Yeah, for those of you who are new to this event, Jason opened and closed for us last year, and it was so incredible. I was like, you gotta come back, man. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Jason Scott ain't broke. We're not fixing him.
ROMchip is not broke, but we are going to make it less broke.
I mean, we could be.
Never know. It's up to you out there in the stream.
Up to you. That's
if you're
right.
wondering when are you going to pull out your card and go swing, anytime.
That's
We
right.
don't need a monetary narrative like some other streams will build up. If you want to put us over the limit, we're still going to have fun today. So if you're sitting there going like, oh well, where do I store my investments? Do I do it in crypto? Do I do it in long-term bonds, or do I do it in ROMchip Journal? I'm thinking ROMchip Journal.
Articles. I mean, because it's an incredible ROI, without question.
Yeah, I think just invest in $RCJ. I think that's what your meme coin will be.
I think that, this is a great opportunity actually to just give a little shout out about, we had such a successful fundraiser last year. It was our first time ever trying this, and we were really surprised, frankly. I was certainly surprised that we got to like 97.5% of our highest tier goal. And we were able to make a lot of magic happen with that money. First off, we were able to keep the journal running and pay all of our bills, which is amazing, right? like step one, right? Over the course of the year, we hosted 5 what's called ROMchip Presents talks. I know a lot of you in the chat have been to these before. This is where we bring on kind of a professional game history researcher to give a 40-minute kind of extended deep dive talk about their research to an audience on Twitch. We record these, put them on YouTube. We had talks over the past year about everything from the Nintendo Virtual Boy to the C64. We had Will Wright on talking about SimCity and with Heim Gingold, right? If you want to see any of those, check out our YouTube. And we made good on our biggest commitments last year, right? So if you recall, Jason, we promised that for each of the $1,000 we could raise over the top, we were going to commission new work. We did that, and it's coming out in our July issue. It's finally far enough along that I can say that we have 2 freelance. One is a long read by the Brazilian games researcher, journalist, and podcaster Enrique Sampaio about the Brazilian game Caceta and Planeta Noite Animal. And about how that game's release is kind of reflects these kind of larger transformations in pop culture and tech adoption in post-dictatorship Brazil. It's a really, really cool piece. And we commissioned a translation from Heidi Kemps and Brian Clark of Hiromasa Iwasaki's Dujinshi Legend Number 7, Why Do 2D Games Always Go to the Right? Both of those will be premiering in our July issue, right? That's like directly funded by this event, right? Like those works would not exist without the money raised here. So, and I think they reflect the best of what we do. They center work from outside the US and Europe. They contribute to cross-cultural conversations about knowledge production. So, I just really want to underscore that the money that we make here is literally making history happen and helping writers and translators pay their bills.
Yeah, without a doubt. One of the things that people always think of when they think of a video game journal is it going to be like a video game fanzine? Is it going to be like, hey, did you know there used to be Nintendo? And the fact is we're fine for that. We're actually all full up. We're really good. We know it. We know what happened. There was an Atari, there was a Nintendo, there was a Sega. And what ends up happening is that if somebody goes off on a deeper subject, like working about Brazilian culture or working onto arenas that haven't crossed over to other cultures. I mean, ROMchip is from America, but there are definitely rumblings now, started by that one article whose name I forget, and you probably know, which is like, maybe it's really bad that the conversation about video games and their position and everything is 100% lockstepped, like concrete, into the American official timeline of video games.
Oh yeah, that was Felipe Pepe wrote that piece.
Yeah,
a couple months ago.
That thesis was one of saying it's actually even worse than bad, because not only is it a case of like being dominated, like say culture being dominated by Hollywood or something and not caring the other countries' takes, but it actually puts itself in as the historical narrative. 1978 is when this came out. 1984 is the first whatever. And it's like, nope, there are these absolutely rich narratives, and there's all of this ability of us to, with just a little bit of focused work, tell these stories, collaborate with people. And that's what we're trying to do here, because it just takes, in a fair and just world, you compensate people for your time. And depending on somebody, as good as their heart is, to be able to spend those extra weeks or months doing that research, that's where this kind of fundraising comes in. And then you get to see it on the page.
Yeah.
So I actually really love the fact that you don't have to love every article. I love the fact that it's not focused on how do we please our audience and make each one a sizzling, shallow tale. Like, people are really big into Elden Ring. We got to do one of them. Oh, the new Call of Duty is dropping new maps. We got to do a map story. Like, that's the kind of problems with games journalism when it has to chase after promotion cycles instead of historical information being lost and being able to find it. So for me, I love that about these, where I'll say, I didn't think about that until I read this headline. And now suddenly I'm learning about it. And that's, to me, the difference between a journal and a zine. And I think for some people, they may not be aware of that. So, and even though you'll never say it, there are some heavy hitters on this staff, you of which you are one of them, by the way. And so this is just a great endeavor. So it's donating time to it feels so easy for me to be able to just be a little part of this. I would love to see folks just absolute rush with donations. If you're going to go on to the rest of your Saturday and you just want to see what's going on here, throw the bucks down or come back later and be part of the bucks. Doesn't matter. What we're trying to do is make this event bring to light this endeavor. Like right now, for the people who have not really heard of this, like you're somehow stumbling this organically on Twitch, which must be mind-blowing. Hi. Go look up ROMchip Journal and just start reading. You can go read them right now. It's up. This isn't for some idea, we're not going to Kickstarter a new thing in 2 years. It's already up. We're doing the new issues now. This is what's going on.
For 6 years, and if you want to see, I think, some of our kind of most accessible hits over on our Blue Sky account, I think it's ROMchip Blue Sky whatever .social or whatever it is. We did a whole kind of threaded list of a piece from each of our issues over I think we've got 12 of them now. We did a sort of 12 days of Christmas type of thing, where we highlighted, a cool, accessible work. And there's such a broad range of stuff there. And each of those is only one thing we picked out of a whole issue. So if you just want like an easy primer of like what goes on here, we can drop a link in the chat to that, or you can find it on Blue Sky. But yeah, it's, we really aspire to be kind of wide range. I laugh at you saying you don't have to love everything. I think that's true and good and important.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, because you'll see things where you're like, oh, it's got all the magic words that make me want to read. And that to me is it's fine, but it drives a certain editorial direction, which means like you end up where someone says, look, I want to talk heavily about, this very unique way that the Hobbit adventure program had non-deterministic characters. And somebody who is an editor at a regular online site or periodical kind of frowns and says, I don't know, how can you make that interesting?
We're a place where, I think especially for journalists who want to go on a certain kind of like nerd quest that mainstream outlets just the cost benefit analysis isn't there. If there's a historical angle to it, that's what we can make happen, right? So we also allow for a different kind of writing to have a home.
Yeah, so listen, for this year, what are you doing different in terms of how we're doing the fundraiser, in case anything's different from last year? Because I want people to know what we're aiming for here and what we're going after.
Yes. Sorry, I have a giant 2.5 foot long monitor that slowly falls. I need to tighten the screws in the back is what I'm adjusting. So if you, and I know that there's folks here, the Video Game History Foundation was so awesome to do a podcast interview with me about the journal that dropped on like Wednesday. And I know some folks are here from that. So if you're unfamiliar with the journal, basically first I'm going to talk about some stuff we're changing about kind of how what the fundraiser is going to do. And then just some new bells and whistles we've got that we hope will be exciting for folks. This fundraiser has 3 tiers. There's the kind of keep the lights on tier for 7,000. There's the give our copy editor a small pay bump tier of 9,000. And there's the pay more journalists to write for us at 11,000. Last year we did 6, 8, 10. This year we're doing 7, 9, 11. That's because we sort of want that safety net that even if we only make it to the first tier, we have a little bit of backstop in terms of what we're raising in case there's any unexpected costs that come up. That's kind of why we raised the threshold a bit for what we want to consider our base operating budget to be. And then really, but of course, we're obviously aspiring to those 9 or 11K goals. We're going to handle the commitments to those tiers a little differently. What we did last year when we got those kind of higher tiers was we promised these commissions, right, that I was talking about a moment ago, these big $1,000 prizes, basically, that we were giving out for a new materials piece and a new translation. And those were awesome to work on. You're going to get to see the fruit of that labor in July with our next issue. But they were also really time consuming for us because basically we kind of inadvertently wound up running a contest. Because there could only be one winner. And so this year we want that money to kind of spread out more. So we're going to use everything we raise over the top to do something we're calling the Freelancer Fund. And this basically is going to be like a slush fund that works on a first come, first served basis for independent journalists and translators. So people can pitch us work. We're going to pay market rate or slightly above market rate. And this will allow us to vet pitches on a rolling basis rather than having to do them all at once. And we'll be able to pay more people because we're going to kind of lower the top line cost, but be able to spread it out to more folks. And we're still going to be paying that market rate or slightly above market rate. So same money, make it go farther. And that fund will kind of re-up every year. It can kind of refresh. If we don't spend it all, we'll kind of roll it over. But I've already got journalists kind of sending me emails, knocking at my door saying, when can I pitch you something, right? Because the feedback I'm getting from them is the rates that you're offering are already better than what most outlets will do. And they won't let us kind of go as deep and go as hard, precisely because that's not what the mainstream kind of game journalism economy is built around. As for the fundraiser itself, so here's how it's going to go. Each streamer has a 1-hour segment. Everyone's going to be playing a game that is historically meaningful to them. That was the prompt. I told people to go wild, so that means we've got a wide range of weird stuff. We're going to have a Super Mario Brothers 4 speedrun later. Someone's going to be playing Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. Paolo Pedersini is going to be screening the world's first interactive movie later this evening. Check out the full lineup at donate.romchip.org/schedule, link in the chat. And also, we're going to be doing something new this year. We've got kind of like a raffle every hour. So we've got a stack of game history books that have been donated by MIT Press, and some of our streamers have their own prizes they're going to offer. Anyone who donates $20 or more during a given hour is automatically entered into a drawing for the prize of that hour. There's also ways, obviously, to enter without donating. Check the rules on our donation page or on the schedule. We will be drawing the winners for those a little bit later, because that's how you have to do it to run a legal raffle, apparently. And then we've got an extra special raffle. So for folks who donate $100 or more cumulatively throughout the whole 12 hours, are automatically entered into a raffle for this really fancy MIT Press coffee table book. No, not just the 48 states. I guess if you're in Alaska or Hawaii, that should be fine. List of prizes are all on the schedule. So this is a copy of Monsters, Aliens, and Holes in the Ground, a guide to tabletop role-playing from D&D to Mothership. This is a really lush coffee table book. According to the information on the back, it retails for $125. So this is the grand prize for folks who donate over $100 over the course of the whole day. And speaking of prizes, that means, Jason, for your set for this hour, the raffle is going to be this book from MIT Press, The Game That Never Ends, How Lawyers Shape the Video Game Industry. This came out at the end of last year. This book is written by Julian Malland. Some of you will know him as the co-author of the book about Minitel, along with Kevin Driscoll. This gets into all the great details of industry-defining patent disputes, issues of IP enforcement, lockout chips. Like, this is real dork shit. $20 or more gets you automatically entered into a raffle for this book, courtesy our incredible friends at MIT Press. At the top of every hour, I will kind of reintroduce the whatever the prize will be for that hour, but they're also all listed on our schedule. You can go check them out there. For info on how to submit without a donation, again, check our website. So, all right.
All right, now, where are we now? Well, here's the good news. If you look down at the little special graph at the bottom of the screen, we're not starting out at zero. We're starting out pretty far along, which is really nice. Not a good time to let our guard down. Not a good time to put your card back in the wallet. But being aware that we are on our way. We've been hiking since before the sun came up. We're pretty far up on the mountain here. We are, I believe, right now we're edging on halfway there. We are not quite halfway there, but we are edging on halfway there. So if you're contributing, you are already building on top of something that's there. And I believe we want to thank some people. Do you want me to say the names? I feel like I should say the names to some extent.
If you'd like to say the names, you probably have a cuter voice than I do.
It's not about cuteness, Laine. It's about just giving me something to do. I would like to say... so I'm reading from a list here. So when I read from the list, if I say your name wrong, it's nothing personal. We just got to hang out more. That's all. So patrons, Nolan Filter and Maxwell Neely Cohen. That patron status is the highest tier of donor, helps with both the organization and helping them make commitments. Also want to thank the early donors that got us to this nearly halfway mark. That includes Kendra Albert, Corey Burns, Matt Clausen, Travis Foss, Maxwell Foxman, Gordon Freyshad, Curtis Fry, Chaim Gingold, David Guida, Matt Nusson, Lillian McIntyre, Sabertail, Sue Murray, Paolo Pedersini, Chris Persaud, Jeff Peterson, Liz Petrick, Benjamin Ragabe, Eric Salvaggio, John Sharp, Andy Ehrlich, Jose Zegal, Ben Zotto, Anonymous Starfruit, Anonymous Banana, Anonymous Mango, and last but not least, Anonymous Raspberry. And also thanks again to MIT Press for sponsoring these giveaways. And for the people in the chat, to which I do want to say, I am watching the chat, and one person says they didn't know about this until about 15 minutes ago. This is their first day of knowing ROMchip. So it's a minute to learn about ROMchip, a lifetime to master. They asked about, what about this to here to that? In America, we have some pretty strict rules about sweepstakes, giveaways, and prizes. So that's why you're hearing all of that. You can't just play the game of saying, prize, prize, prize. There's all these rules, but that's what's going on. But look, if you come in here and you do stuff, I'll put my guarantee on it. All right, I'll make it right with you. We'll figure something out. So don't feel left out. If you feel left out, we'll talk about it. Okay. So keep me in mind, Jason at textfiles.com, TEXTFILES. I'll make it right. Okay. It's not about that. It's the rules and the other stuff. We're going to make people happy this day. We're going to fund an academic journal that needs funding, that doesn't quietly get payment from some company. It's not secretly funded by Ubisoft on the back end. It's not secretly funded by, being part of a, selling your data. It's not secretly funded by balls. Look, every day that balls still exists on this earth, maybe we still have hope. So I'm a cherry cola balls kind of guy myself. But anyway, I wanted to just tell people about the fact that if this is your first day hearing about ROMchip, you stumbled onto a real, authentic thing. ROMchip is not designed to be a stepping stone to something else. It's not designed to turn around and offer slots to companies for $5,000 to talk about their game. It's not designed to be turned into a high expensive, best of that only a few people can afford. It is designed to provide informed, good, solid research into the history of games, a real and valid history, to people who are hungry for that kind of approach, and not the wide-eyed, fake, starry-eyed, oh my God, did you know they have stealth in games now kind of articles? Or did you know there used to be badder graphics and now it is gooder graphics kind of overviews? This is the real deal. So again, there's 6 years of ROMchip to go back on and go look at and read what's there. It stands on its own portfolio as a proof of this is the real thing going on. So, I know you want to say more, Laine, before you hand me over.
There's just one more thing I want to say, and it's to thank the two secret people that you can't see on the back end here, our technical director, Cody Wilson, our talent coordinator, Consort. These are the two folks behind the scenes doing all of the tech, carrying this load, making this whole thing look shiny and amazing. They are so special. I've been so fortunate to work with this little team of just kind, thoughtful, generous, extremely talented people. So this is kind of a real personal thank you from me to you. Huge shout out to you both. This would not be possible without you. And with that, oh no. So Jason's getting over the flu.
Yeah, also, but don't worry about that. Laine just cares about me as a human being, which is silly. I had a flu.
Let you get to it. I should let you get to it. I should get out of the way and let you do your thing. Yeah.
Well, I've only got, I believe, 25 minutes to do anything, so that's fine with me. Boy, this is the easiest. You folks they work really hard on the back end, by the way, folks, to make sure that everything is accounted for. There's a lot of care put into timing. They want to make sure that this goes off really well. And I've dealt with some places which are show up on stage at 10. Get off stage by 10:50, and they actually care. But I always like this because they work so hard, and then I'm here for 20 minutes yammering about nothing. And I think it's really great. But yeah, no, I'll do a few things, and I'll see you in about 20 minutes, Laine. I guess so. 25 minutes.
Yeah, just about 25 minutes. I'll be back at the top of the hour. And yeah, to say goodbye to you, see how it went, transition to our next streamer, give the whole spiel.
Okay, so let's see. I It looks like I'm doing pretty good here. I'm set up here. For the people who are just wandering into the stream, my name is Jason Scott. I work for a place called the Internet Archive, located in San Francisco, California. The Internet Archive was founded in 1996 by a deranged millionaire who had this weird idea. Wouldn't it be nice if the web had a memory? And in doing so, created a killer app called the Wayback Machine, which many people use, web.archive.org, which crawls many, many places out on the internet and makes web page captures. And then from the web page captures is able to play them back to you. So you can go back and see what Yahoo or Google or eBay were like in the 90s or the 2000s. In some cases, you can see language changing on websites. You can see old articles that have been removed. You can both capture that lost part of the past, but you can also use it to verify that something was saying something years ago. It's played a part in court cases, in research articles, in books, cited all over the place. But sometime around, I want to say the early 2000s, the archive started to kind of shift to not just capturing websites, but also capturing movies and music and texts and ultimately software. And I was brought in as part of the person to do software. So when I came in, Brewster had said to me, the Brewster Kahle, the founder, said, you know, you can go onto our site and read books and you can listen to music and play movies, but you can't play software. Is there a way we could play software? And I said, maybe. And 2 years and multiple changes to browsers and languages and everything else, we were able to port MAME to JavaScript, which sounds as awful as it is. It absolutely is. Many Gungans died to bring us that. And we started putting up historical software such that it could be played instantly in the browser. So what you're seeing right here to me is a really good example of a piece of software, not a game, but a piece of software that would otherwise disappear into the loam, absolutely be lost, right? It's a bicycle repair floppy disk that somebody recovered from a pile of floppy disks they bought for $10 out of a flea market in New Jersey in the mid 2000s. And they were I called them the Frostbite floppies because they were basically part of a thing called the Frostbite. And Frostbite had all sorts of games and pieces, but they had this kind of stuff. Now, what you're seeing on there is a previewed GIF that is playing of screenshots taken of the game. So I'm just going to click on it. And when you click on it, it boots up, it runs up, and then it boots up a DOS program. And you are now playing this DOS program in the browser. I can actually move. I can learn about it. I said, I want to know more about how do bikes work? How do you repair them? And to me, the fact that in 1 second, you were able to immediately play this in the browser turns software history into something that is as easy to look to as old music. So like, for example, when you tell your friend, hey, I have a recording. It sounds like they screw up this guitar strum at the end of this pop song. Can you hear it? And you play them the thing. Their first reaction now isn't, oh my God, I'm getting music out of my computer. How are you doing this, you crazy warlock wizard? We just go, yeah, I can hear it. He sounds a little drunk or whatever. I want that to be as boring for emulation. I want us to be able to go back and be able to cite or interact with software or just try it out without ever once feeling like it's going to be a whole deal. Now, if you want absolute fidelity to the ultimate run of emulation, you should always run it native. You should run it on your operating system or on a virtual box that you're running and run the software natively. But that is a time-intensive process that will be very involved. It's the difference between being able to do a little bit of workshopping in your basement and going to a makerspace to run a $14,000 lathe against something that you're running. Like, it's a difference there. I'll never act like this thing is better than that. But the fact that we are all, as human beings, looking at bicycle repair as drawn through a DOS machine from the mid-1990s is, to me, the most important thing. What a beautifully rendered bicycle repair image. So then the question becomes like, well, okay, that's nice, Jason, but we're here to play games. And so let's go back to a game that this is one of my favorites. This game is called Paku Paku, and it was made as part of a game jam. And so for this, we're going to talk about the fact that the IBM PC, when it first came out, had some real garbage graphics modes in CGA. You had terrible colors, you had low resolution, and your color palettes were devastating awful. They were aqua and this weird orange red. They weren't very enjoyable. But it turns out, and this is worth doing research on, and I have not done that research, there was a non-public, non-documented graphics mode that was very low. This is like 160 by like 80. This is like a really low graphics mode, but it could do 16 colors out of a palette of many other colors. So what you're seeing here is a first generation IBM PC able to play Pac-Man, because this guy's rewritten Pac-Man. And you can see here, it looks really nice. And you go, what a different world it would have been in the early 1980s to be able to play these games that people could have created if they had all known about it. I mean, look at those fruits at the bottom. That is beautiful that they were able to render it. And the magic here is they're working in really, really tiny pixels. Does it sound good? Yeah, it's fine. Let's do a little Pac-Man. Get the cherry. Oh, yeah. I'm back at the diner. I'm in the diner. I'm in the front. I'm 10 years old. Pac-Man's just come out. The diner people wondering why this kid doesn't do more with his life. Oh, and I'm enjoying myself out there. Fishkill, New York. Parents are divorced, but my favorite babysitter is Pac-Man. They don't even argue. The family that owns the diner would let me steal mints from the front of the diner, which is really nice. And all right, I'm going to do a level. The laws, the absolute laws of video games say you have to finish the first level or you have no street cred. When you're not able to finish it, that's when they throw the old man into the... Yep, there we go. So yeah, Cherry, I'm still good. Just like the old days. Boy, that's a sound, isn't it? You take that one to the grave. Anyway, so, you know, when they first... And here's the other thing, is there's stuff that they can absolutely render on the archive that you would just not believe are going... That this existed at any given time. So I'm going to show you one that we just started emulating very recently. And, you know, sometimes life hands you lemons and you can't make lemonade. Sometimes it hands you poisonous, gaseous lemons. This is the Tiger Electronics Game.com console. It's a 5th generation game console. It is the second worst video game console ever made. It was a kind of a mobile phone, but it was broken and it's terrible, but we render it. And you're like, wow, look at that, Jason. They have Castlevania. That must be amazing. No, it's not. It's not amazing at all. It's absolutely awful. So among other things, first of all, every Tiger.com has to have the opener that lets you know it's got... So then you're stuck here and you're like, can I use the phone book or the calculator? Like, imagine or do you need, it's going to go, well, yeah, you could play Castlevania, but have you considered playing Solitaire? Because it's right there. You could play Solitaire. What a piece of garbage. Anyway, look at this. It's got a cartridge animation. and then it starts the game. So already your experience, there's no flow, as they say in the modern era. I am not going to play very much of this game or much of it at all. But I just want you to see there's a game out there that is like the real deal. It is like they make it, and if you're like, oh, the color seems terrible. Oh yeah, no, the color is terrible. The sound is terrible. Everything about this thing was such a failure. But instead of sitting around trying to come up with like, do I want to buy this? Do I want to do it? 10 seconds, you play it, you can write your article about how terrible it is. All right, let's go to stuff that I think is like super weird. We can do homebrew. We can do a lot of homebrew stuff people are whipping up that they're just doing on their own. This was Laine's favorite. This is a Super Nintendo speed test, and it's in GitHub. And what it does is it analyzes your Super Nintendo for how well all of its different pieces are running. Like it basically enables you to look at what's going on. So I'm going to once again boot it up, and you can see once again how fast it takes. It loads the stuff in, boom. So this right here, this is a speed test of how much the Super Nintendo is functioning. And this always makes me laugh because this program thinks it's inside of a Super Nintendo. It's not. It's inside of a browser running at speeds that it could not comprehend. And it's hiding inside the window of a browser that could be doing 20 or 30 other things. And as you can see, it's running along pretty well. I wouldn't argue with it. Here's page 2. They really worked hard on this, by the way. Like the amount of material that it's like putting forward about this fake Nintendo that doesn't exist anywhere. Absolutely my favorite thing. Let's see. The archive has well over 250,000 pieces of software emulated. And each one of them has a story that I think is important. A natural question, of course, is, and I remember when this happened, people are saying, what other things do you have at the archive? Like what other pieces of software do you have? And I'm like, well, we've got things that nobody else has. This is a version of Sonic the Hedgehog for Sega Genesis, except they've replaced Sonic with the grandmother from Coco. So where else are you going to get this, right? So you boot this thing up and you, again, get Sonic the Hedgehog, except it's the... I mean, the fact that I was able to go from describing it to you playing it, that's the magic, right? Like that's the thing, being able to do it. What I love is they put you back in the game like you're ever going to want to play this game again. So at the bottom it says Grandma ×3, and that's it. That's it. That's the entire game. That's gone. All right. Where are we now? We're now at, we're getting up on where they're going to throw me off the stage. So does the archive have arcade machines? Because those are part of our history, Jason. Surely you folks don't have arcade machines. No, we got arcade machines. You kidding? We have, thousands of arcade games that you can imagine from ye old days. And not only do we have them, but they're running at full speed. They're still functional. You can play them. You can see them. So I will say, if you go to archive.org/details/internet arcade, you can actually go ahead and try to play games ranging from about 1975 up to roughly like 2001 before it starts to get a little awkward in terms of like how much speed they need to function, including bootleg games that, again, we were just talking about different cultural influence. Here's this game, which was this bootleg game called Pac-Man Club, and it was from Argentina, where they took the ROMs from Pac-Man and they redid them as being able to play on really cheap hardware. And this is 100% from 1990, and they've taken Pac-Man and they've completely redone it. But it's... What do we want? We want normal. And can I play? Oh, so here I'm not quite sure what's the key, right? Like, what's the key? How am I not able to do it? And you can actually type tab and be able to go look at the controls and be able to go up and down. Like, it's a full rendering of MAME. And so based on this, I'm seeing, do I want to do it on control? I wonder why you're not. Huh. Something. Man, that is some loud ass music. Wow. We don't need to go play Pac-Man. We have Pac-Man at home. Pac-Man at home. So enough of that. All right. So as we get towards, now I want to say towards the end, but we get towards the end of my thing, I'm going to show you two things that are personal to me, because that's part of what this was about, right? So first of all, one of my favorite games that ever came out is a game called Dung Beetles. And Dung Beetles was created by a guy Bob Bishop, who I actually got to meet before he died. Really great guy. And what you see at the bottom here, it says Dung Beetles Was a Day Collection. Now, there have been some amazing advancements in terms of how we're able to portray and we're able to show older game systems. And one of them, in terms of Apple II floppies, which are, pretty important for anybody who does not know, anybody who's from a different place. We're talking about those 5 1/4-inch floppy disks. They usually would have some really complicated copy protection on them, and they would have really complicated setups. Wazadays are meant to function 100% like the original commercial disks. And Dung Beetles is a game that came out. So when it boots, it'll boot, and it boots up an Apple IIe, and brings up this. Now, this is why I loved Dung Beetles, and I just want to show you because this was personally interesting to me. It looks like Pac-Man, but what's going on is you are going around eating dots, and you're leaving a place behind you, right? And there is this mirror, not mirror, a magnifying glass. So actually overwrites what you're looking at. And for the life of me, for the absolute life of me, I cannot remember the key that goes up and down, which is just great. But there we go. And it has actual synthesized voices saying, "We got you." So now I'm actually figuring this out. So it generates a random maze, so it's different every single time. This is all 1982. And there's left, and there is left, and I bet it's M. There we go. And K. All right. Look at this. It's got dead ends. Now, if these little bugs around you detect your thing, you see there, you're dead. Absolutely no chill on Dung Beetles. Now, imagine it's 1982, and you see that you can actually you see a magnifying glass interacting. To me, it was a stunner. So when I was a kid, this was it. This was like, wow, computers are going to be able to do anything, and being able to play it instantly in my screen and be able to do this work. Yeah, see, now I'm being chased by a spider. Hopefully he'll forget about me, like Dre, and I'll move on to my next spot. It's really, this is like I said, one of these games where it seems so simple. Look at that. It's actually rendering the graphics from the bug that's on the left side. What a simple interface that provides such a breath. Oh, look at that. Your score at the bottom. It just feels wonderful. It's a wonderful piece of work. Absolutely love it. And then in terms of like Again, we're pretty much there. I mean, Laine, you're here. I did promise Snipes. So I'm just going to very quickly show you Snipes because why not? And Snipes was a game that came out in 1982. And in 1982, it was ported to various mainframes, but it was also available because somebody ported it over to the IBM PC. Snipes is way too insane. When it says skill level, right? You see how it says skill level A to Z, 1 to 9? The reason it says that is because there are literally 26 times 9 skill levels you can do. A1 is the easiest, Z9 is the hardest. It's a maze game. I'm going to show you A1 level, and you're this little guy, and this little guy lives his life, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to find, it's all text mode, you're going along, you're trying to find like basically these like little glowy portals like this one. And you got to kill the glowy portals. And when you kill all 3, you won. And those little guys are following you. But this is A1. They don't fire at you. So it's a pretty good cakewalk. You're just walking along. No big deal. The walls are fine. And I'm just go up. Is that a little guy? How you doing there, little guy? Come over here. Finish him off. And then I'm still on the hunt, right? So that's level A1. But if for some reason something hits your head and you want to do level Z9, you're like, give me, hurt me mode. This is unfortunate. If you touch the wall, you die. If you get hit, the little guys that are firing at you, let's see if I can. Oh, here we are. The little guys down here, they're trying to kill you. It's personal. And are they do they multiply like mold? Yes. You are in it. Now here's even better. There are versions of this that they've created where it is literally multiplayer. Now think about that. 1982, literally a multiplayer game where you're able to play with your friends up against this endless group. And even though right now this looks like the most simple little game, this will become your world. So like Snipes to me is a really good example of like, you don't have to depend on incredible graphics or sound that was digital. Look at this infestation. Tell me that does not immediately fill you with fear. You'll also notice if they shoot their little arrows off, their little weapons, they turn purple and they're going insane. Look, they don't care about each other. There's no love. It's like the aliens. And I'm over the moon whenever I look at this very simple, very beautiful game, heading in the browser, heading around. But remember, no matter what you do, no matter what you care about, the Snipes will always triumph. So let's do this. Let's bring back Laine and let's talk about what else we want to have going on for the rest of the day. Hi, Laine.
Hello there. I'm just updating my notes on all the incredible funding we have received, making sure my percentages are absolutely correct. Jason, how has it been? It's been pretty loud for me. That's been my experience.
I've been running through just a very quick thing to show you like in-browser emulation, and not just being like, oh, free games, but also like, wow, I can reference a piece of software to people in like 10 seconds that would enable them to be able to experience it, learn one new interface, be able to play a piece of bootleg arcade hardware, and of course, because we did promise that, a game that's special to people. So I showed them Snipes, which is like weird game crack.
It's your favorite.
It is my favorite.
So thank you so much for that. And yeah, huge shout out to the Internet Archive. It's an incredible resource. It was like the primary reason I was able to write a book during COVID, because there's just so many incredible resources on there. I'm back here like blowing up balloons every time we raise another $250. That's what each one of these balloons symbolizes. So I had to watch a YouTube on how you like professionally tie a balloon.
How'd we do? How'd we do, by the way? How did my incredible...
We did amazing. So we are at 3,700. That is 53%. We are over that halfway point goal. Some really amazing work. Thank you to everyone. So we are 53% of the way to our tier 1 7K. Let's keep the lights on goal. And we're just finishing hour 1. So this is awesome. Jason, I know it was a short stream, but you know, we're going to have you back at 10 p.m. for the last hour. What I have called this year Jason Scott's Sleepy Time Cave of Wonders. So, you know, it's going to be a late night for us. Jason Scott is going to wrap us in a blanket of his love and put us all to bed. The special raffle prize during that hour is a voicemail from Jason. So that is not to be missed. But, you know, Jason, sad to see you go, but we know you'll be back.
I can't wait to see the literal pantheon of gaming gods you are bringing. The absolute amazing players bringing us all of their memories, all their pieces. It's going to be a pleasure to watch. I'll be watching today.
Awesome. We'll see you later. All right, for folks just tuning in, I'm Laine Nooney. I'm the managing editor for ROMchip, a journal of game histories. We're an open access hybrid audience online venue for the publication of game history. What that means is that first we develop, solicit, edit, and publish a wide range of work from academic peer-reviewed articles, interviews, oral history transcripts, short essays, long reads, and translations about everything from digital games, analog, board games, sports, play. Don't let the techie name fool you. We cover the whole gamut of what makes games special. Second, we have no paywall, no advertising, no logins, no predatory publishing model. You don't ever have to pay anything to read the scholarship and research published in ROMchip. And last, we call ourselves hybrid audience, which is our term for saying we're trying to make a big tent around game history. We think you shouldn't need a PhD to be able to write for or interview for or read ROMtrip, right? We want a big community of folks who are all invested in this project. So our current tier 1 fundraising goal, $7,000, that pays our basic operating costs, which is basically our platform hosting fees and our copy editor. She is actually our single biggest expense. It's just this very lovely woman named Mary who lives in Indiana. But we don't just want to hit that 7K goal. We want to smash it. Our 9K and 11K goals means that we can pay more writers, pay more translators, make more game history possible. So we don't just hover over that donate button. If you're in a position to do so, click, drop some funds, any amount helps. Now, I am delighted to bring on board our next streamer, Hacks. Tina has worn many hats professionally, from software development to information. Spare time, she streams speedrun. She's a believer in games value as a teaching tool, which is the energy she strives to bring to her streams. So I think that's a great mission fit for us, true educational master. And so I'm especially excited to have Tina here because things I felt was missing last year was the speed roll. I came out of that stream and I was like, it was great, but like next year we need a speed runner. So I put out feelers, got connected with Tina, who's been amazing to work with. I'm so excited about what's about to happen. Can we bring Tina ready to drop in?